Hello everybody, I am S N Chakraborty here. You may know that every year I give a projection of the probable subjects or topics that may come in UPSC mains final on PSIR optional. So today I am doing it for 2024 UPSC mains. So already I have done it for paper 1 and I believe that some of you have already seen it. And if you have any query, you please put it in the comment box. I will definitely get back. Paper 2 is about comparative politics and international relations. It has two parts. The first part is basically section A is basically about concepts, theories, ideas, and second part, that is section B, is basically India's foreign policy and India's approach to various world affairs and international events. So there are around 10-11 chapters in first part, that is section A. As I say always, that first chapter is very important, where the foundation of that section is built up. Okay, so therefore the first chapter here is comparative politics, its nature, its major approaches, its political economy, political sociology, and the limitations of comparative politics. One must go through very well. Every year questions definitely come from this area, both short questions and long questions. Last year there was a couple of questions on empiricism, on difference in comparative method, then traditional and modern approaches. So it has come. I believe that there is a possibility of many other areas. Political culture is there, scientific approach is there. They can even give political economy and political sociology, because no straightforward question came from this area, but they can always twist it. Normally questions are not very difficult, a simple question, but always remember, when the question is very simple, your task is very difficult. When question is very difficult, then understanding the expectations and organizing your thoughts is very important. Next is state in comparative perspectives. Last year there was no question. So I believe that this year possibility is there. There are 4 areas, that is developing society, there is advanced industrial society, capitalist economy, and socialist economy. You must have very good idea, clear idea about them, and they can link it with democracy, they can link it with economic formation, the state's approach to the world, various ways they can link these, like how democratic formation is taking place in developing societies after globalization. Okay, so that kind of question making. So therefore 2-3 subjects are interlinked in this. So don't just try to get only the definition or concept about them, but also you try to see that you can link it with many other topics which are spread out in your section A paper 2 syllabus. Third is politics of representation and participation. There are a number of sections here: political parties, pressure groups, social movements. Now that political parties definitely in developing society and advanced industrial society cannot be similar, and in global south, okay, and global north, it cannot be similar. Within global south, there may be country specific approach can be there. So don't see that merely definition of political, that is very important, but beyond that definition something, you try to understand that. I think last year there was a question last year, I believe, that how pressure groups become an important stakeholder in developing state or advanced industrial state. So that means you'll have to establish it, how they become important stakeholder, in which way. Do they do it uniformly, or there is heterogeneity in that? Then globalization is there, and globalization can be linked with anything that is happening at the state level today. whether at a national level, regional level, or international level. And that also you must understand that there are 4 stages, to understand in comparative politics. One is sub-regional level. That means within a state, there can be sub-regions, and then the state level, then the region level, like South Asia is a region, then these regions can have an extended understanding, which is Asia as a region, South Asia is a region, India is a place, within India there can be regional, and then from Asia you are going to global South, then international. So there are various stages, and one must have as good as possible an idea about them, so that they can write answers from whatever angle is expected by the questions. Not a huge knowledge about globalization, but globalization, we don't require that economic aspect of globalization so deeply. We require it, but we require more how to link it with political phenomena of region, sub-region, then international level. And it is not that easy unless you understand it properly, unless it has been explained clearly to you. Then writing will not become so strong. And then once you understand it, then you have to express it in proper language. Your idea is really coming out through your expression, language, and within that word limit. All this together is preparation for optional paper in maths. Next is approaches to the study of international relations. That is, there are 5-6 approaches are there. There is a little bit confusion that it is absolutely a different compartment within comparative politics. It is not a Marxist approach. Marxist approach you require also in the first paper, or when you are doing the second paper like developing advanced industrial society or capitalist and socialist. So don't think that these are two isolated phenomena. Sometimes say, oh, this question is from international approach. I don't think that UPSC will maintain that compartmentalized approach. They can mix up. These are the approaches which have been developed to understand international politics, to understand relations between the state at the international level. That doesn't mean that that theory cannot be applied in a subset of international system. Last year, the question came on functionalist approach. Always remember there are 2 kinds of functionalist approaches. One in liberal approach, which is by David Metrani, and in system approach, which is by Gabriel Almond and others. That is structural functional approach. Now functionalist means David Metrani. Don't take it that way. That will be wrong. Last year Morgenthau did not come. Morgenthau is always very, very important. And then there are neo-realists also. Though neo-realists came in different way, like offensive and defensive realism, but Kenneth Walsh is always separately possible. Then liberal approach is absent other than functionalist approach, but there are important liberal theorists are there, like Karl Deutsch is there, then Joseph Nye, then Robert Kewane, so they can come. And then definitely system approach can come, because within that system approach there are 3 persons: David Stern, Gabriel Almond, Morton Kaplan. They can mix up, they can separate, different way they can do. And Marxist approach also came last year 22. Last year did not come. UPSC does not have scope to hugely shift from one area to another. So there are only 5-6 approaches. Therefore, they can give combined questions. They can repeat the same subject matter, but question can be different. So I believe that all approaches are important, and a person in the mains should be thorough about all of them. Next is key concepts of international relations, that is national interest, national security, balance of power, then deterrent, then collective security, all are there. So, national interest came, National security also came. Last year they have given different way linking it to Russia, Ukraine, where this year again number of conflicting situations are going on. So therefore I believe that these kind of questions can come. They are easy subjects, but what I find that it is not at all a compartmentalized reading, learning. Definitely you'll have to learn that subject like national interest, you'll have to learn it properly. Then also you'll have to learn how to link it with national security, balance of power, or collective security and other things. So these, one side is that compartmentalized learning, okay, and that's called segmental knowledge, and the side is knowledge linking it with other subjects. That is what is called good preparation. Then through writing you have to see whether really you can express it properly, present it properly according to the demands and expectations of the questions. Very often I find that somebody's approach is one size fits all. Same content, okay, and whatever may be the question, they are just manipulating it little bit and presenting. Don't think that will be making your answers very competitive. So take care. Next is changing international political order, where non-aligned movement, then nuclear threat, Cold War, a lot of things are there. Very early stage of Cold War or non-alignment movement, normally UPSC doesn't go because that is too old. There is a major paradigm shift. They will be more interested to know that how much you can, put them in the perspective of today's development, today's international relations. Normally a question comes on NAM or Cold War or nuclear threat. That question comes more linking it to the modern situation. Then there is a nice question on unipolarity and American hegemony. Okay, now unipolarity and American hegemony may not be existing the way it was existing immediately after Cold War, but today's BRIC initiative is again challenging American hegemony. And different kind of other alliances are coming up at the world level to challenge any kind of hegemony by any kind of nation state or any bloc. So therefore hegemony is definitely an important area, and India particularly is been always against hegemony. It is for non-alignment, it is for peaceful coexistence. Therefore hegemony related understanding and knowledge is definitely beneficial. Next come to another chapter called Evolution of International Economic System. Again, it is a very, very old phenomena like Bretton Woods system and CMEA. They are practically obsolete now. Bretton Woods system discontinued in 1971, but today's BRICS strategy is giving its the last blow, okay, by creating trade and commerce through alternative currency system. But along with that, there are some other small subjects like third world demand for new international order or globalization and world economy. Now India strongly stands for new international economic order. Global South stands for new international economic order. Last year when G20 took place, again it uttered very strongly about the perspective on new international economic order. So there will be always good to prepare on them, and particularly when debates are coming on WTO, particularly last 12th and 13th ministerial meetings, you have seen the debates are going on, and also Doha round of talk is hanging in between. So therefore I think that WTO and intellectual property rights related thing, agriculture trade related thing, subsidy to agriculture related question will not be very irrelevant, very out of context here. Next is United Nations. Last 2 years question came on International Court of Justice. So I don't think that again it will be repeated, but definitely other than even there is a question on UNSC. So I believe that UN reform can be a possible area. Then United Nations and world peace, because United Nations is not working so effectively to ensure world peace, because again and again new kind of conflicts are erupting. Then UN's negotiation capacity is under challenge, and UN's biases towards the West is also is under debate. And the syllabus says that United Nations reforms, and also that various specialized agencies that function under UN. So since ICJ has come, General Assembly I believe has some importance, but security level definitely is an area. UNSC did not take any major role in last 1 year time. So therefore I don't think that UNSC can be effective, but UN as a whole, its reform is becoming an important point of debate. Next is reorganization of world politics. So there are 5 regions, 5, European Union, ASEAN, then APEC, SAARC, and NAFTA. NAFTA is dead, so there is no question. SAARC is almost dysfunctional or non-functional, so therefore I don't think that there will be a specific question on SAARC other than the possibility of revival of SAARC, which is a very routine question. But again I am telling, if the question is very routine question, simple, straightforward question, then take care of your answer very methodically. But definitely EU is very important because EU is becoming increasingly relevant. Then ASEAN has always been relevant in the sense that ASEAN is growing, okay, and it is going very effectively, positively, affirmatively. And then APEC is an area which is doing its regular work. It is not doing anything extraordinary, but at the same time it is not dead either. Then last one is contemporary global concern. There are 5 areas. There is democracy, human rights, gender justice, environment, terrorism, and nuclear threat. All of them are important. Terrorism is definitely very important. Last year environment came. Last year again the environment came and democracy came. So I believe that human rights has become a point of debate this time. India questions America's human rights position and status and standard. America also questions, so therefore human rights became a debate, civil rights became a debate, and terrorism has been a living subject because one or other attacks are always happening in one corner or the other of the world. I believe there can be a mixed question also from this area, so get ready for any kind of question. Now let me go to section B of paper 2, which has 8 chapters. Okay, again as I say, that first chapter is very important, that is India's foreign policy. How India has conceived its foreign policy, what is its perspective about taking forward foreign policy, how it has experimented on it, how it has achieved various milestones in foreign policy, and how India has become an important stakeholder in world politics today. All are very important. At the same time, you have seen that India's relationship with Maldives is not good. India's neighborhood relationship, whether it is Nepal or Pakistan, Afghanistan, for different reasons, they are not so good. It's not that India is responsible for that, but circumstances are there. Okay, so therefore India has to have, has to work out differently about the foreign policy. At the same time, India's reach out to foreign policy has gone to the Western Africa and Latin America. That is another positive part. India has made itself a very important stakeholder before the Western nations, before the powerful nations. India has developed very good relations with West Asia, Russia. These are also very positive things. If you are very clear about this area, I believe that this section B answers will be comfortable for you. Definitely there will be 2 questions from the chapter 1. When you are preparing for this section B, one thing you must know, there are certain terminologies, there are certain jargons which are very IR linked, like for example diplomacy. Okay, there are 2 questions on diplomacy. One is general diplomacy and public diplomacy, but there is also parliamentary diplomacy, there is also military diplomacy. So you should have a clear idea about diplomacy. Next question is India's contribution towards non-alignment movement. Last year there was no question. So last to last year there was a question differently, that there is a shift from non-alignment to multi-alignment. You try to learn it from 360 angle, from different ways, and try to understand that what is its implications in contemporary world. Next one is India and South Asia, okay, which is definitely, as I told you earlier, a lot of debatable area, contestable area, challenging area, and you'll have to learn it very clearly. So far, Act East is concerned, that is going beyond South Asia, and there India has been successful towards Southeast Asia. But when South Asia is concerned, then sometimes India is helpless. It is not everything depending on India to make South Asia regional development successful. Maybe somewhere India is not their approach is not working effectively. Sometimes maybe India's approach is working very effectively. Now Maldives is a very burning case. Question is possible. Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan, almost nothing much to do, almost stagnant. Same thing has been going on. But Bangladesh, Nepal, and recently Maldives, they are important areas. Last year, 2022, there are 5 questions from this chapter alone. So you understand how important this chapter. On the, in contrast, okay, last year there was no question. Okay, so last year 5, last year none. So therefore, definitely in 2024, number of questions are naturally expected. So I would say that you better look into the trade prospect, water distribution, because Pakistan, India, water distribution is an area. India, Nepal is trying to revive trade relationship. India, Maldives is going through a very, very complex process. Try to understand where are the prospects, okay, why things are happening. If China enters into this area, that means China will have a strong hold in South Asia. India-Sri Lanka relationship has been very good and has been going on very well. So that area also you can look at. Next is India and the Global South. After G20 conference in 2023, definitely India and Global South is an important area. India has made African Union as a collective to become member of G20. What is the implication? Like when EU becomes member of WTO as EU along with different individual states also, what are its implications? Now similarly, there can be individual African states members of G20, and at the same time African Union collectively is also becoming member, and India pushed for it. WTO negotiation and new international economic order, and how Global South is participating in that, is contributing in that, is changing its orientation. All these are definitely important area on which UPSC can give you question. Next is that how India has been linked and maintaining relationship, strengthening relationship with global center of power like USA, England, USA, EU, Japan, China and Russia. So we all know that India has a balanced relationship with USA. India has a very good relationship with Japan and Russia. India has controversial relationship with China, and India's relationship with EU is moving more constructively. I believe that USA, EU and Japan all have equal chances, and India-China relationship has lot of dynamics. So therefore, always there is a possibility to get questions from here. And Russia and India has been in good relationship for last 60, 70 years. So therefore, India-Russia relationship is of different nature, and it can be always possible. I think all 5 relationships you must have good knowledge, and I believe it will give you definitely a question. Next is sixth chapter, that is India and UN system. There are only two subjects. One is role of UN peacekeeping force and India's demand about Security Council reform. India has various approaches to Security Council reform. India has been, in any chance, India has been raising this issue. So that is an area. And peacekeeping force, India has been one of the major participants. These are not very exciting questions, but if you don't have any other options, definitely you can attempt them. Next is India and the nuclear question. Nuclear question is almost a static area. So I think that basic knowledge is good enough. But definitely, as the world has been changing, the perception about nuclear weapon, perception of nuclear power, that is also changing. And I have seen that aspirants are mixing up about nuclear weapon and nuclear power. Okay, so nuclear power is something, nuclear weapon is something. Nuclear weapon is one of the nuclear powers. After CTBT, the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty in 1998, I don't think that nuclear issue has progressed further. Okay, sometimes some issues have come up, but at the international level, a major breakthrough on this, I don't think that has happened. So therefore, certain routine discussion, debate, new approach, new guidelines, they are coming up, and you can be familiar with them. Last question is recent developments of India's foreign policy, and in that, India, Afghanistan, India, Iraq, West Asia, and US, Israel, all these are there. But definitely Afghanistan, nothing much to do now for the last 3-4 years. It has been stagnant. Iraq and India relationship has not taken any new major significant development, but Iran has taken place. But India's relationship with West Asia has been improving. At the same time, it has been facing lot of challenges. There are economic reason, political reason, cultural reason, ethnic reason. How India has been trying its best, and with some of the nations, India has very good relationship, and India is trying to expand its base a much wider level. But in between, Israel and Gaza war has developed. Now Iran and Israel are also not in good relation. In that situation, India will have to negotiate very meticulously, very cautiously, and India has been trying to do that. Be updated about that. This information, these analysis and insight will not come from the book. Majority of the subjects will come from the journals, newspapers, and various other conferences, and maybe various foreign ministers levels, discussion outcome. So please follow them. Textbook will be little older, but you require to be as modern, as current as possible. And every year we find that 2 to 3 questions are coming from this area. And then vision of a new world order is an important subject here. That itself can be a question. What does it mean? Okay, how does it work? Which way India is perceiving it? All these things can be an area. So this is where I want to end. And if you have any further queries, you put it in the comment box, and then definitely I will get back, or you can give me a call. That is always welcome. So you can even write to me in Telegram or WhatsApp. Definitely, if you are writing, you can expect a response from my side. So thank you very much for listening to this video. I believe your UPSC mains with political science optional will go very well, and definitely you will perform extraordinary well in this subject. Thank you very much.